Student life in the UK is so exciting. I've made friends from all over the world.
The quality of teaching in the UK is something I never had before in my life.
Studying in the UK gives me access to research facilities as well as world-class researchers.
Even before graduating, I've already received 2 job offers from some of the best consulting firms in the world.
I'm on my way and I've got a second place to call home.
Hi everyone, I'm Aloni Bhatt and welcome to this special Study and Live in the UK workshop by British Council supported by economictimes.com. Did you know that the United Kingdom attracts 600,000 international students every year, making it the most sought-after destination for higher education, and that Indian students form the largest student groups in the UK. Now, many among you may want to study in the UK, but you don't know how to get started. Today, we have 3 experts who will help you do just that, provide you with all the information that you need on your applications, admissions, visas, scholarships, anything that you need to know about going to study in the UK. Joining us today are Atreyi Guha Thakurta, Head Mobility, India and South Asia, British Council, Divya Malhotra, Customer Account Manager, South Asia, UK Visas and Immigration, and D. DeRocha, Member, British Universities International Liaison Association. Now, these experts will also take all your questions after their presentations. So do take the opportunity and stay till the end and clear any doubts that you may have. It's over to Atreyi.
Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to our workshop on studying and living in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Atreyi Guha Thakurta. I'm Head of Mobility for India and South Asia at the British Council. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the British Council, but we're a cultural organization and we can help you in your dreams of studying in the UK. So we can support on your applications, your admissions, anything you need to know about going to study in the UK or just to get started. We are here today to help you. So welcome everyone, and I'm delighted to also welcome D. DeRocha. D is from BUILA. Thanks so much for joining us, D. So D is the representative of BUILA, which is British Universities International Liaison Association, which is a representative body of 144 UK universities. And D is going to tell us all about the international student community and how you can go about with your applications and what are the right tools for you to use as you embark on this journey. I also have with me Divya Malhotra. Divya is from UKVI, which is UK Visas and Immigration. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. And Divya is Customer Account Manager for South Asia. So Dee and Divya, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And between the 3 of us, we hope to be able to answer all your questions on studying in the UK. So I'm going to kick off and I'm going to show you some quick slides on what to expect when you're going to the UK. I'm sure many of you have already decided where you want to apply. This is just to tell you a little bit about the UK and how the British Council can help you. So let me quickly share my screen. You can all see that. So welcome to the UK. Now, as you know, the UK has inspired some of the finest minds in human history, and now it can inspire you. So whether it's your first time in the UK or simply your first time away from home, this is your chance to fall in love with the UK's ancient traditions, modern way of life, and our world-beating cultural scene. So the UK has a global reputation for academic excellence, and it is the perfect place to develop your talents. UK institutions regularly top global rankings, which means that you'll receive a world-class education, gain respect from employers all over the world, and have great experiences that make friendships that last a lifetime. So by choosing to study in the UK, it is your chance to actually discover the very best in yourself. The UK's innovative teaching methods produce successful, versatile graduates, and these graduates are sought after worldwide by employers. And our universities combine traditional lectures with a variety of innovative teaching techniques designed to encourage independent thinking, problem-solving skills, and self-motivation. So you will be working in small groups, for example, solving real-life problems, from your future career, and whether it's in the classroom or in the field, you will be working with other people. So it's a very different way of learning, maybe from what you have been used to. You will also have access to leading technology, from state-of-the-art laboratories to interactive screens and online learning as well. And you will have an opportunity to learn from the very best in your field. So many teachers in the UK, universities, are actually industry leaders in their field, and you will have one-to-one access to them where you will be able to learn from their vast experiences. So developing an ability to think for yourself is central to every UK degree, and you will be encouraged to recognize good ideas, learn to question information and theories with an open mind, and learn to, argue and debate and discuss. And the UK offers unique opportunities to grow and to be independent in your studies. So I hope that when you go, you're able to embrace this new way of learning. UK is a place that actually welcomes everyone, and it embraces international students. And I know that Dee is going to touch upon this later, but the UK is a very tolerant country where all ways of life are respected. It is in fact against the law to discriminate against anyone because of their race, nationality, or religion. So with a history of multiculturalism dating back hundreds of years, the UK has well-established communities representing all students and a deep commitment to supporting your religious and cultural identities. And one of the reasons that international students feel so welcome and feel so at home in the UK is because of the diversity that you find in the universities. 30% of academic staff in the UK are from overseas. And, if you are missing food in India, if you're missing festivals in India, you want to do Diwali, you want to do Holi, I promise you on your campus, you will find a way to celebrate those. The UK offers some of the best in science, research, and innovation. And it is the world's trusted and most innovative countries and has consistently been at the forefront of science, culture, finance, politics, and more. And it is the birthplace of many world-changing events, from the Industrial Revolution to the invention of the World Wide Web. In fact, the COVID vaccine, which I'm sure all of you now have, was actually first made in the UK, as you all know. And then again, and I think that's a fantastic example of how well the India-UK partnership works, because then it was manufactured in India. So, although the UK represents only 0.9% of the global population, the UK actually produces 14% of the world's most highly cited scientific research. And, because of that, since 2007, the impact of that research has ranked #1 among G7 countries. So as part of your education, you may choose to study, in any type of institution, different kind of place, but you will be at the forefront of cutting edge science, research, and innovation. I think that's exciting. I'm sure many of you are wondering, yes, I definitely want to study in the UK, but I do need scholarships. And that's a fair point. Scholarships are very, very highly sought after, very, very popular for studying in the UK. And there are scholarships available. Okay, and I'm going to break it down for you really quickly. So there are many options available, especially to international students who are who need help to fund their studies. So there are UK government scholarship programs, which I'm sure you've heard about, the Chevening scholarships, the Commonwealth scholarships, and you may have heard about the Great Scholarship. So the Great Scholarships are actually still open. The other two would have closed by now for this year, but of course they'll open again for next year. So don't forget to check that out. You can find all the information you need about scholarships on the British Council website or the Study UK website, which is given at the bottom of the slide. The other scholarships which is still open is the British Council Women in STEM scholarships. It's a fully paid scholarship for women who want to study STEM in the UK. You need to prove that you do need the funds, so it's for meritorious students who wouldn't typically be able to access this education. It's a fantastic scholarship, and some of these are still open, so check it out. And I've given some links in the slide for you to do some research and see what scholarships work for you. You can find a scholarship based on the subject or the department or the level, UG, PG, or your nationality as well. So, there are options, but you do need to do your research, so please do check that out. How can the British Council help? I'm hoping that most of you have already been in touch with us, and you are already using our resources. We have some fantastic resources for you to look at. If you go on our British Council India website, which is britishcouncil.in, you'll be able to find a whole section on studying in the UK, which includes everything, from MOOCs to scholarships to, student guides. Everything is there. But very quickly, we have Study UK student briefing sessions once every couple of months. Again, that will be on our website, or I hope you follow us on social media so you'll know when the next one is. We also do a lot of live events on Instagram, on Facebook, on scholarships, on visas, on applications, and more. We usually bring UKVI along with us. We usually have BUILA with us as well. So do, join those. The British Council is usually present across every major city in India, as well as smaller cities as well, at fairs, at schools, at colleges. We go and we like to meet you. We like to meet your teachers. We like to meet your counselors. So you can absolutely meet us there as well. If you go on the Study UK website, there's a scholarship search tool that can be really helpful, and a course search tool. So if you're not sure where your courses are available, and it can be quite overwhelming, check out these tools because it can get you started. Apart from that, we do a lot of events and programs that include students like you. So the Great Talks bring subject experts from the UK to talk about climate change, STEM, AI, interesting things like that, even museums and the role that museums play in STEM. We also have subject webinars. So if you want to study engineering in the UK, how do you get started? Join one of our webinars. So there's all of that. And once you all go off to the UK and then you come back or you become an alumni, we hope you will continue to stay in touch with us, and you can join our Alumni UK platform. And we do something called the Alumni Awards. We just had a big event on that. And the picture is there. That's a Paralympic player, Deepa Malik, who was a keynote speaker at our Alumni Awards. And hopefully one day you'll be a winner at that. So I'm going to stop here. But thank you for listening, and write to us. You can always write to us. You can come and meet us in our offices. We're in Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, Calcutta. But again, just email us if you need us, and we'll be happy to help you. I'm going to stop here. I hope that helped. And now I'm going to invite Dee. Dee, do you want to come on and share your slides and get started?
Hello, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen with you. So I'm Dee DeRocha, and I'm from the BUILA Executive. And I'm also the International Director at the University of Cumbria, which is in the northwest of England in the UK. So I just need to share my screen. And so I'm talking on behalf of BUILA. BUILA, which stands for the British Universities International Liaison Association, is a UK-wide membership-led organisation that supports the work and the professional interests of staff working in international higher education and liaison, international recruitment and liaison at British higher education institutions. Our association currently has 142 membership of UK universities, and this represents around 2,000 international recruitment professionals working at those institutions. So BUILA's activities are managed and coordinated by a small elected executive committee, all of whom work on a voluntary basis, such as myself. And the BUILA Executive Committee actively liaises and lobbies with government bodies such as the Home Office, the Department for International Trade, and Department for Education on our members' behalf, and works very closely with other organisations such as the British Council and Universities UK to support the interests and the work of our membership and the UK higher education sector as a whole. We do get involved in research, and one of the things I'm going to touch on in the presentation is the research that has been undertaken very recently to help guide and advise UK universities to develop and create the National Agent Quality Framework. This was done in association with our partners, such as including the British Council, and it was done to really ensure the quality of the international student journey and experience, and help them choose and find an authorised representative to help them embark on that journey. I'd like to just mention a few things about the UK, share with you some news and provide you with a sector update. I think the key points I want to emphasise today are, firstly, the UK is open post-pandemic and it's more or less back to normal in terms of your higher education experience. The UK has always been and remains a very friendly and welcoming place to study for international students, and so we do encourage you to consider the UK as your study destination of choice. Secondly, we are seeing a lot of demand for our degree courses for September 2023, and some of those courses are closing sooner than would be the case normally, or are approaching those deadlines earlier, so please do apply early. Thirdly, do plan and prepare your application and make sure that you have as much of that documentation ready to submit when you submit your application. So try and have everything planned and prepared in advance. This includes ensuring that you have your English language test results if you need one, ensuring that copies of your qualifications and transcripts are available, that you have a well thought out personal statement, and that you have prepared and are able to submit your references. Don't worry if you're unfamiliar with the concept of a personal statement, because most UK universities will have information that they can share with you, either a guide that is available or a webinar on their website about how to write an effective personal statement, or you will have information shared with you through the university's admissions team. Similarly, in terms of your visa application, do remember to share important information, including uploading the relevant pages of your passport and sharing with the admissions teams whether you've had a previous visa, whether that has been granted or refused. Fourthly, you will need to start thinking about your accommodation and what options are available to you at an early date. If you're planning to apply for on-campus accommodation, each university will have its own rules and regulations, but it is a good idea to start looking once you've received and accepted your offer. You will also need to familiarise yourself with the payment terms. So you may be asked to pay an initial deposit and then either 6 months or full accommodation fees before you start, or at or upon arrival and registration. And finally, please ensure that you have all the relevant paperwork and that you carry this with you in your hand luggage. You may be asked to produce this at customs, but you will also certainly need it for registration and enrolment at university. In terms of application deadlines, so for postgraduate applications, generally speaking, most UK universities will allow you to apply directly or via an authorised agent or representative. Deadlines do tend to be university specific, and as mentioned, some popular courses for September 2023 will be approaching those deadlines soon, or may already have approached those deadlines and passed those deadlines. So again, check the university's specific individual websites. These days, around 50% of UK universities do have a January intake, so the next application intake after September 2023 will be January 2024. However, that may not be the full range of courses. In terms of undergraduate applications, some universities do allow you to apply directly, and obviously or via an agent. Other universities will only accept applications via UCAS. UCAS, the next application deadline to note for September 2023 is clearing, which starts on July the 5th this year. And there's, please refer to UCAS website to see whether you're eligible for clearing. But on the whole, if you are applying after the 30th of June, if you didn't receive any offers, or you didn't receive any offers that you wanted to accept, if you didn't meet the conditions of your offer, if you've paid the multiple choice application fee, And if you've declined your firm place, then you will be eligible to apply for an undergraduate course through UCAS clearing. For September 2024, I've outlined the main deadlines here. So this year, on the 2nd of May, you'll be able to search the UCAS database for all courses that are open for September 2024. From 16th of May, you can start your application, but you won't be able to submit this until the 5th of September 2023, which is when applications for 2024 open. There is a deadline of the 16th of October at 1800 hours British Summer Time, UK time, for Oxbridge, so Oxford and Cambridge applications for dentistry, for medicine and for veterinary science. And that deadline tends to be inflexible. The main deadline to note for courses for all other universities in the UK is the 31st of January 2024, again at 1800 hours UK time. If you do miss the 31st of January 2024 deadline, don't worry, as most UK universities will accept applications for undergraduate programmes after this date. Just a little bit on the graduate and skilled worker route, which launched in July 2021. This is a route for both undergraduate and postgraduate students in the UK, and it gives you the opportunity to work in the UK after you've successfully completed your studies. Emphasis on the word successfully completed there. At the moment, if you've done an undergraduate degree or a postgraduate taught degree, you are eligible to stay and look for work for 2 years after you have graduated. And if you are doing a postgraduate research degree, you have the opportunity to remain for 3 years after you have graduated. We do advise that you use the opportunities available at your university. You can work 20 hours a week, part-time and full-time in the holidays whilst you're studying. And most universities have very well developed volunteer opportunities and networks that you can access whilst you're studying in the UK, all of which is designed to help improve your career prospects and your employability as a result of your studies here. There's schemes such as student ambassador schemes, which you might be able to join, and all of which looks good on your CV or resume afterwards. Also encourage you to make use of your university careers service, which often hosts careers fairs, both virtually and in person, and they will have services for you such as CV and interview guidance that you can access whilst you are a member of the university, and also afterwards whilst you're on an alumni. Just touching very quickly on bringing dependents to the UK, it is extremely important if you are planning to travel to the UK with your dependents that you let the university admissions team know this and let them know as soon as possible. This is so that the teams can provide you with very specific, direct and immediate assistance, or they can point you in the direction of the right advice and guidance about all the additional things that you will need to consider if you're bringing a member of your family with you. Things that you do need to consider if you're traveling with your dependents do include costs. So there is obviously additional costs and expenses if you're bringing one or more members of your family with you, and you will have to show that you have the funds to support these, and this money cannot be recycled for your dependents. You will have to show when you're applying for your visa that you have the full amount of money there for yourself and for your dependents. Accommodation, obviously you need to find accommodation that is suitable for you and your family. And again, you do need to start looking at accommodation early in the cycle. So as early as possible. You may be directed to the private sector if your university does not provide family accommodation. Some UK universities do, but a number don't. So again, in the private sector, you will be expected to pay an initial deposit, and up to 6 months of that accommodation, those accommodation fees will need to be paid in advance. It's important to look at what the schooling or creche arrangements are in the area, city, town, region that you're studying, if you have children who are under the age of 18, and also bear in mind what the cost of this might be. So costs for schooling, depending what school route you choose, but also if you have children under school age, so under the age of 5, additional costs for creche or childminding facilities. And again, I just want to emphasize that please do let the admissions team know as soon as possible whether you are bringing dependents with you so that they can provide you with the help and guidance that you need. Wanted to touch very quickly on the important work that BUILA has been involved in on the creation of a national agent quality framework. So the framework has been developed and it sets out a clear set of standards that are required by UK education providers to ensure that the agents or educational representatives that you use to support you with your application offer a good, high quality service. At the same time, this framework helps expose the very small amount of practice that is out there, and I do emphasize very small. Most agents and educational representatives that are appointed by universities are good quality and have your needs and your best interests at heart. There is now the quality framework, which comprises of a code of ethical practice and a number of good practice guides for both us as providers, for the agents, and for you as students or applicants. This is the student guide, which encourages students who are thinking of studying in the UK, and if you are thinking of using an agent or a representative, to check whether that agent has completed the British Council training and if they have signed up and are committed to the National Code of Ethical Practice. So the guide provides a clear step-by-step guide as to what an agent can help you with in terms of researching and making decisions about which university is right for you, and then but also how you can choose an education agent. So it tells you where to look to see that those agents are official partners of the institution. So this includes the university's website, but also you can check the British Council database, which lists all authorised, all agents that have completed British Council training and are accredited. It also tells you which universities that agent represents. It gives you top tips on what to expect when you're using an agent, such as transparency over the fees paid to institutions and any additional costs. So normally the services for applying to a UK university are free. If there are additional costs, this would usually be if the agent provides a service to help you apply for your visa, and or might be involved in helping plan travel for you. If you are asked to pay any fees for tuition, then do question this, because this is not something that would normally happen with an education agent. Normally you would pay the fees directly to the university. And I think finally in the guide, it just goes through how you should be working with that agent. So you should expect to be guided, but not pushed to a specific institution. So this guide will be available, or is available, on the British Council website, and we would encourage you, if you're thinking of applying using an education agent, to download and use that guide. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and thank you for having me today, and it's a pleasure to be part of today's workshop. I am representing UK Visas and Immigration, and I'm going to tell you everything about UK student visa application process and its guidelines. To start with, you can apply for a student visa to study in the UK if you are 16 years of age or above, and if you have been offered a place on a course by a licensed student sponsor or a university. If you have enough money to support yourself and pay for your course, the amount will vary depending on your circumstance and where you will be studying. You also must prove you can read, write, speak, and understand English to a certain level on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, which is CEFR scale. And also you must have consent from your parents. If you are the age of 16 or 17, you will need to evidence this when you apply for your application. When to make an application for a student visa? The earliest you can apply for a visa is 6 months before your course start date. You will usually get a decision on your visa application within 3 weeks of after the submission of the biometrics at Visa Application Center. It costs £363 to apply for a student visa from outside the UK. And also you'll have to pay for the immigration health surcharge as part of your application. How much to pay for the IHS depends on how long your visa lasts. The documents required to be submitted for making an application would be your valid and current passport, confirmation of acceptance of studies letter provided by the university or the sponsor, tuberculosis test certificate from an approved UKVI center for all South Asian countries, and evidence that you have enough money to pay for your course fees and the maintenance fees. Course fees will be mentioned in the CAS letter, and the maintenance fees will be dependent on where your university is, if it's in London or outside London. Also, we will need to see the proof of relationship to your parents or guardians. If you are under the age of 18, you need to evidence that. And those are the documents, and you may need to provide additional documents depending on your individual circumstances. Do read the full guidance on gov.uk for a full list of documents you may need to provide. So my top tips while making the application would be: include all the necessary documents as per your personal circumstances. Include the official translations of your documents if your documents are not in the English language. Include a supporting letter to explain any gaps in your study, for example, the part-time employment during your studies. Disclose your full travel history and be honest while filling the application form, which is very important, and this information will mean including any previous visas refused. And also include your birth certificate and parents' consent letter if the student is below the age of 18 and is sponsored by the parents. Okay, so now let me talk about a bit about the graduate route. The graduate route gives opportunity to all the international students to stay in the UK for at least 2 years after successfully completing a course in the UK. If you have a PhD or other doctoral qualification, the route will last for 3 years. The graduate route is an unsponsored route, meaning you do not need a job offer to apply for the route. You will be able to work flexibly, switch jobs, and develop your career in the UK as required. You are eligible for a graduate visa if you have studied a UK bachelor's degree, postgraduate degree, or other eligible courses for a minimum period of time with your student visa or previously called Tier 4 General Student Visa. Also, if you are in the UK and your current visa is a student visa or a Tier 4 student visa, and your education provider, such as your university or college, has informed the Home Office that you have successfully completed your course. So that's all about the graduate route, and I will stop the presentation here now. Thank you.
All right. Those were just the presentations, but hopefully they've given you some sense of how to go about getting that degree from the UK. Next up, our experts will answer all your questions on studying in the UK, the living costs, funding your degree, scholarships, visa requirements, and much more. Hello and a very warm welcome to this live Q&A, part of the Study and Live in the UK workshop by the British Council, supported by Economic Times. It's lovely to have you all here with us today. I'm Meloni Bhatt. Now, a lot of you may want to study in the UK and make your career there, And you may have questions on so many things, right? Scholarships, the best universities, of course, how to manage your living expenses, which degree to choose. Now, just so that you have all of this information in one place, we have a panel of experts who can take all your questions about studying and living in the UK. And I'm very happy to welcome Atrey Guha Thakurta. She's the Head Mobility, India and South Asia, British Council. Atrey, welcome.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Nice to be here. Hi, everyone.
It's wonderful to have you here with us, Atrey, and I'm sure that all the students and young professionals who are joining us, have questions for you. And joining her is Divya Malhotra. She's the Customer Account Manager, South Asia, UK Visas and Immigration. Divya, wonderful to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Melanie. It's nice to be here.
All right. And we're waiting for one more guest to join us, and hopefully she'll be here soon. We're waiting for Dee DeRocha. She's a member of the British University's International Liaison Association, but we are hoping that she's able to join us soon. Now, to all of those, who are joining us for this live Q&A, please type in your questions in the chat box, and our experts will respond to them. It's really a great opportunity for all of you to clear your doubts. So please take full advantage of it. But to begin, I will start with a few questions of my own. Atrey, my first question is to you. Indians have flocked to British universities for many, many years, and the interest has only grown. What, according to you, makes UK an attractive destination for Indian students, and what are the sort of trends that you're witnessing?
Thanks for that question, Melanie. I think what sets the UK apart are a few things. One is, it's the quality of the courses are absolutely world class. I think 4 out of the world top 10 universities, according to QS, are actually in the UK. So your degrees are globally recognized. There is a certain prestige that a UK degree and education brings. The courses are obviously very high quality. They have a very stringent quality assurance mechanism as well. I can see the D's join, so that's great. UK courses, I think, for my personal favorite for UK, the reason I kind of recommend that we choose the UK is because UK courses are very industry-led. So there's a very close link between the universities and the industry, so that you know that whatever you're coming out of the university learning, you can implement in the workplace. Apart from that, obviously, there are other factors such as it's, excellent living conditions, you have free access to the healthcare system, you have the graduate route now, which Divya can tell us more about, which means you can stay on in the UK for 2 years after you finished your course to work or look for work. So for all of these reasons, I think a UK course, is the one to go for. A UK master's is, of course, 1 year, which is now recognized by the Indian government as well, which means you get back to the workplace faster. It's cheaper than other foreign destinations. So yeah, these are just some reasons, I think.
All right, Atrey, thanks so very much, for telling us, what really works for a lot of students when they opt for a university in the United Kingdom. But Dee DeRocha, welcome, member of British University's International Liaison Association. Wonderful that we could have you here today with us, Dee. All right, Divya, if I could ask you, I think Indian students, correct me if I'm wrong, were issued a record number of visas recently. And of course, this attests to the great interest that students have in studying and living in the UK. But highlight for us some of the common visa issues and challenges that you see international students face, particularly say Indian students. And, what would you say is the best way to avoid them?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Melanie. I think we do get a lot of students from India, and I think we had a record breaking of 140,000 students being granted sponsored visas for the year end 2022. And I think the percentage of the visas being issued by UKVI, it remains above 95% through the last 3 to 4 years that I have seen. So the quality of the application is really not an issue here, but I can give the top tips here that needs to be kept in mind while making a student visa application. which I covered during the presentation also, that they need to ensure they are very honest about filling the visa application form. They mention about their previous refusal history, if there has been any, and they include all the required documents, including the translations if those documents are not in English, and make sure that they do submit the tuberculosis test certificate. If all the documents are in place and the students are genuine students who can speak, understand, write, and study in English, they shouldn't be worried about making an application and being granted a student visa to UK.
All right, these are all good tips. D, to you, there are many students competing in a sense for scholarships, grants, bursaries to fund their education. How do you think students can leverage the opportunities for these? And, give us a sense of what's the average scholarship worth in the UK?
There are many scholarships that Indian students can apply for. There's some scholarships that are offered jointly by the British government. Organisations like Chevening have the scholarship scheme for 1-year postgraduate master's courses. And most universities will have some form of scholarship for Indian students. Some of these are high value and they can be as much as full fees, full tuition fees. Chevening, of course, they offer very large scholarships. So we have a couple of Chevening scholarships, which are worth about £11,000 off the tuition fee, which is quite a reduction. Other universities, they'll have anything from 1,000 to 3,000 to 5,000 and more scholarship.
Okay, I think we've lost.
Can I just pick that up?
Available, which reduces the fees substantially. So I think it's a matter of deciding which.
Okay, thanks for that, Dee. I'll just kind of follow up on what Dee said, which is that scholarships can obviously be of varying amounts, from full, which pays for not just tuition but living as well, and then there's also the bits that Dee spoke about. But I just want to draw everyone's attention, at least for those who have joined and who are kind of still looking for scholarships. The one thing with scholarships is always to apply early, as early as possible. They're super competitive, but I think there are a few still open. So the great scholarships are still open. The great is by the UK government. It's done by the British Council. So please, check out our website to find out which ones are still open. You can still apply for those. The Women in STEM scholarships is an excellent scholarship, again by the British Council, which is a fully paid scholarship for women who want to pursue STEM in the UK. And I think those are still open as well. But apart from that, Dee mentioned the Chevening, there's also Commonwealth, there are scholarships by various organizations, Felix Rhodes, etc. So lots of options really. So, do your homework and apply early.
All right. We've had, Atre, about 400 odd people writing in with questions to us. Obviously this is all attesting to the fact that there is tremendous interest in studying and living in the UK. And I want to take, a few questions from those that were sent to us over email. And one is by Ritisha Sarkar from Mumbai. And she writes, I'm currently graduating in psychology in India. And let me know what are the future opportunities for studies and career in the UK in my field, and what kind of education should I pursue for the same?
I think when you're coming to study in the UK, I think you really have to have in mind what you want to do after your study, and then picking the course that's right for you. So obviously, if you've done your psychology undergraduate within India itself or another country, then a natural option is to do a psychology master's. But there are other opportunities depending on what you think you want to do afterwards. And obviously, with the post-study work visa available now, there is the opportunity afterwards to gain that experience of overseas work in the UK. But I think you have to start by thinking yourself, what do I want to do afterwards? And is your intention to get that work experience in the UK with the post-study work visa, or is the intention really just to get that additional study experience and then return to India to maybe you've left a job already and you want to get further in that particular role, in that particular career, or you want to change.
Atre, could you pick that up?
Yeah, I can pick that up. I think
you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
And then you have to do your research, but everything, whenever you're having that plan, is really essential part of preparing yourself and then going on that journey.
I was actually just going to say that I think when one is applying to the UK, it has to be very mindful, very deliberate. Why do you want to do what you want to do? And that's what every university is going to ask you. Why have you applied for this? How does it fit into your plan, into your career progression? And that's what you need to think about. You can obviously study psychology at the master's level, but there'll be so many kinds of courses. There'll be clinical psychology, there'll be psychology and something else. So think about what works for you, do your research. There's a lot of research to be done before you take on something like this. Yeah.
Right. Atre, also we've got this question from one of the people attending. When should students start applying for undergraduate courses in the UK, and does the process differ from the postgraduate programs?
I'll let Dee come in later, but if I've missed anything, undergraduate courses in the UK typically are applied through something called UCAS, which is kind of a common portal for undergraduate course applications for international students as well as domestic students. So basically you need to register on UCAS and you need to then follow the schedule that UCAS sets out for you. There are various things that UCAS will tell you to do. You can pick 5 institutions, you can pick XYZ, you have to submit your SOP by this time, your references by that time. Just follow the schedule that UCAS sends for you. Just I think some major deadlines to keep in mind, and Dee, correct me if I'm wrong, I think for Oxford, Cambridge, medicine, the deadlines are 15th October, the previous year of your travel, 15 January for most general courses, and then there's always a late deadline for those like me who tend to kind of keep everything to the last minute. So 30th June, I think, is the one for that. That's undergraduate for you. Postgraduate, I would recommend one applies at least a year in it, starts applying at least a year in advance. And I probably recommend this because, as Divya said, the numbers are really, really high of students going to the UK, which means the courses are getting increasingly competitive. And if you want that, that coveted course that you really badly want and you want to reserve your spot for that, you need to apply early. So I think our big message to students is apply early, postgraduate a year in advance is what I would say. But Dee, correct me if I'm wrong.
All right, we let Dee come in on that when she can. But there's one question, Divya, that you could take. They're asking us, how long does a visa application take to be processed?
Yeah, sure. So the application service timeline is 15 working days. So we do not include the Saturdays, Sundays, and the bank holidays in between. So once you submit the biometrics at the visa application center, you can expect the decision within 15 working days.
All right. So that's quick enough. All right. Let's see. Let's take one of the questions. Do I have to apply for a work permit when I'm studying for a master's degree in the UK, or will it be granted to me automatically?
Oh, well, yes, you will have to apply for the work visa. It won't be granted automatically. So once you have completed the studies, you can apply for the graduate route, or if you want to apply for a study visa, it's a skilled worker visa route that you can apply for. And that can be applied once you have the job offer from one of the employer. It has to be a sponsored employer. And once you get that job offer, you can go ahead and apply for a skilled worker visa. And there are certain eligibility criteria for that. Please do check those criteria if you're meeting those eligibility conditions or not.
All right. So, this is a linked question from Akshat Agarwal. What about open working visa after completion of study? Again, same question. Is it automatically available and for how long?
Okay. So, yes, the students will have to apply for the work visa. It is not an automatic process. The application has to be made. And the duration of the visa, it really depends on the employer, how much validity and the employer is sponsoring for a student or a worker. So it really depends on the employer, and the validity will be given accordingly on the visa.
Okay. There are a lot of questions linked to this, Divya. What are the stay back options for students? Ask someone for postgrad students once the 2-year post-study work visa expires. Again, I think, as you said, they'll have to go through the entire process where they have, the employer who's on the list to offer them a job.
Yes,
All
so
right.
it also links up with what Atre and Dee has mentioned. They need to decide what they want to do after they've completed their studies. And once they have been through the graduate route, which is not an extendable route, they need to decide what they want to do, whether they want to come back to their home country and do something there back there, or if they want to stay in UK. There are different visa routes available. It could be a skilled worker visa if they secure a job there. There is an innovator visa route wherein if they have a different idea to set up a business, they can choose that option. So there are various business visas, work visas options available. If they're meeting those eligibility criteria and if they wish to continue with that, they can look at those routes after completing their graduate route or the post-study work route.
All right, Divya, we've got a lot of questions coming in on visas. But Dee and Atre, please let me know who among you will be able to take this one. This is Yatu Shinoj, who writes, I've seen many people getting fully funded tuition waivers in their acceptance letters from universities. Is this possible?
It is possible. It depends. I think Dee can come in. I don't know exactly what the person means, but if it's a scholarship, then yes, that will be in your CAS letter that, your entire tuition fees is taken care of by the scholarship. Or if the university itself wants to give a full scholarship, or if the university wants to waive off certain amount of the tuition or all of the tuition, but again, that would be part of a scholarship and that will be in your letter, and that will hence, and that will be the criteria on which the UKVI also judges the application. So it is possible to get tuition waivers depending on the scholarships and the bursaries you apply for. Dee, I'm sorry, I cut you off, so come in.
Drop, so I didn't actually hear the question. Guessing it's about tuition fee waivers, and there are some, but there are in the CAS letter.
Okay, there's a question from Mustafa Ankleshwarya, who's asking, I'd like to know, since the cost of living in the UK is rising at a fast rate, is there anything we can prepare for additionally before stepping foot into the country? Atre.
Just, I think, bear in mind that when you are applying for your visa, given how kind of well designed this is, you will have to show your living costs when you're applying. And that is based on, it will be kind of monthly. It's, I think, £1,000 plus per month for 9 months if it's in London, if your course is in London, if your university is in London, and it's around 850 plus, between 900 if it's outside of London. So you are already showcasing to the authorities that you have the living costs to manage your living there. I think apart from that, what we would recommend definitely is that you make sure you sort out your accommodation. You absolutely should make sure that when you are coming into the UK, you already have your accommodation sorted. You know how you're going to live. Are you living in a joint situation? Do you have your own place to stay? Are you on campus, off campus? You should absolutely have that sorted. And second of all, I think the advice we would give is that make sure you budget. There are so many options in the UK. You can live like a king. You can live, the way you want to.
Frugal.
You can live by your means. You can be frugal. And there are people from various circumstances who come in to study in the UK. And it's really up to you how you want to live. You want to eat out every day. That's an option for you. They have the best restaurants. You can also cook inside. You can buy groceries and cook. So really, it's up to you. But I think you should know how you want to kind of live out and budget accordingly. There are lots of kind of, and the university will always help you kind of, sort out your accommodation and things like that.
All right, another question from an anonymous attendee. What's the approximate cost of doing a master's in the United Kingdom?
It really depends on the course and the university, because it does vary it does vary a bit. So for example, if it's like the arts and not by arts, I mean like the humanities, social sciences, it could be between £12,000 to £20,000 per year. If it is medicine or law or management or business, it would be higher. It would be 25,000 or maybe even 30,000 a year. And it also depends on the kind of university. Some universities will charge you more than others, depending on perhaps their ranking or their reputation. So again, and we always encourage students that when they are choosing a university, you look at the fees and you make sure that it is within your means, that it is something that you can afford to pay, because it does vary, but really anything between 10 to 15k per £1,000 per year to 35,000-40,000 pounds a year, depending on the course.
All right. Okay. Yes,
Sorry, I was
Ajay,
just going to add that living costs do vary enormously as well. So some places are cheaper to live in the UK than others, and some places outside of London. If you want to be in London, then some students absolutely just want to be in London. Other students who don't want to be in London, who are happier being in other parts of the country, then that you can find some really good value for money places to live and study outside of London.
Talk to us, Dee, about some of these places or universities, which people can look at alternatively, because you're right. For many, the idea of studying in the UK is actually studying and living in London.
I suppose you have to remember the UK is actually made up of 4 countries. So there's England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So outside of London, you have a whole other part of England to explore. So my university is actually in the northwest of England, so not that far from the border with Scotland. And you can have a multi-country experience by coming to the UK. So you might live in England, but you get the opportunity to visit the other countries, and obviously it's a gateway to Europe as well. So you can get a visa to go and explore other parts of Europe as well. So I think what I'm saying is there's more to the UK than just London. I mean, I was born in London, so I love the capital. It's my hometown, but there is a lot more to the UK than just London. And living outside London, that may be more suitable for you and your budget. And you might want a quiet lifestyle as well. You might not want to be in the constant hub and bustle of London. You might want something a bit more rural, a bit quieter, more of a campus experience. So again, it goes back to doing the research and finding the options that are right for you.
Yeah, Dee, I completely agree with you. I had a chance to, and I got a bursary to study in Cardiff, and it was at Bute University, and this is in Wales. So anyone considering Wales, you have a big thumbs up from me. Cardiff is absolutely fantastic. It's a great student town, lovely people, and I had a great set of teachers. So, there I've given my 2 cents to it.
Loni, can I just quickly jump in with one quick point, because you asked about how you can kind of manage budgets, etc. Just to remind everybody that students, international students who study in the UK can actually work while they are studying as well. You can study for you can work for 20 hours a week during course time and 40 hours during holidays. It just helps if you need it. A lot of students choose not to do it. You can obviously focus on your studies better, etc. But it's an option, and that is very different from the graduate route and whatever Divya spoke about. But yeah, you can work while studying.
No, that helps. That helps a whole lot of students, who may not have the kind of financial support that they, maybe from home, or they haven't managed to get the scholarship. So this is another way for them to be able to get the education that they want, and also be able to pay for it. This is a very interesting question from Venkateshwaran, and there are 2 questions, in fact, that he has. He says that if someone already is doing a PhD in India, can he continue a part of the PhD in the UK? That's question 1. Second is, can someone apply for any short courses, even if the short courses and for the short courses, does he need TOEFL or IELTS?
Should I just come in? Well,
yes.
Thank
you.
On the PhD, I think PhD. Dee, do you want to take the one on the PhD?
Yes. So with the PhD, I think there's different options. If you've already started a PhD, I think it depends what your research subject is, but the first point of call would be to look at which universities your own university might be linked with, because there might be programs there, because there might, if there's a joint research program in operation, it may be that because it's all about having the right supervisor. And if your university is already linked with a university in the UK, there might be a natural route for you to transfer to do some of that study, a part of that study or all of that study at a partner university. If your university has not got any of those research links, then again, it's about finding someone who would be able to supervise you to take you all the way through, and then looking at what you've already done to transfer. So some universities do offer what they call blended learning routes for PhD. At my university, we have some professional doctorates, and they can be studied that way through blended learning, where you'd spend most of your time in your own country, but then you have the opportunity to come over and do blocks of study in the UK.
All right. Dee, there are just a few questions linked to this. There's one from Shrikant Channe, who asks, I'd like to apply for doctoral studies at Imperial College London for September 2023 intake in physics. Can I apply by June 2023?
Dee, I can take this. Yeah, I think with PhD, it's a little different. It's not like your UG and PG, where there's a schedule of application and there's a deadline and things like that. It's a much more personalized choice and interaction, and the twain must meet, the applicant and the mentor or the academic that you want to do your PhD under. So I don't think it's a question of can I apply by June 2023 or whatever. I think you first need to find who you're going to do this with. So if it's Imperial, do you know which professor you're going to do your PhD under? Have you spoken to them? Have they agreed to take you on? Will it be a funded PhD? Are you going to be able to fund yourself if it isn't a funded PhD? Right. So all these things have to be discussed, and there is no deadline that by this time you better apply for a PhD, otherwise you don't get in. It kind of follows its own trajectory and timeline. So it's very much dependent on the conversation you have, the person that you find your supervisor, and you agree the terms on which the PhD will happen. So my recommendation for the person who's asked the question would be that please start a conversation with the professor that you want to do your PhD under at Imperial ASAP, and see where it takes you, and start that discussion, because it tends to be a long discussion.
All right, there's one more. Atrey, maybe you can take that. For someone looking to apply in round 1 for 2024 intake, what are the deadlines for the scholarships that British Council offers for Indian students?
Okay, I think by round 1 they mean, I don't know if this is a UG student, so maybe that's why they're saying round 1, or maybe they just mean early, which is excellent. It's music to our ears. The scholarships, a lot of the kind of big scholarships like Chevening, Commonwealth, they close early. They close by October, November, September. I mean that time it's done. It opens and it closes very quickly. The great scholarships, for example, they actually they open around December, and then it's still ongoing, right? And it'll go until March, April. Maybe some will even go until May. The women in STEM, which are currently open, again, it depends on the university and the timelines that they give and the deadlines that they set, but some are still open, for example. So again, those get announced around December, and then they go on till about March, April. There is no easy answer to say that this is when scholarships start and that is when it finishes. It's not like that. Various scholarships have various timelines. Please make a list, do your research, make a list and see what are the deadlines and timelines that you need to keep to. But as I said earlier, earlier the better with scholarships.
All right, this is again, yes, Dee, go on.
So I was just going to add, we have a couple of scholarships. We have a couple of British Council scholarships, and we will only consider people for the scholarship once they've received and accepted an offer. So I think just check the terms and conditions and check what terms and conditions associated, because sometimes it is a separate application process to actually get in a place on the course.
Right. This is another question. The Chevening scholarships are available only for graduate studies. The British Council site lists 25 odd scholarships available for students applying to undergraduate STEM courses. Is that the full list, or is there any other website that provides a more comprehensive, filterable list of scholarships applicable for undergrad studies?
I think definitely I'll give you two resources for scholarships if you want like a list. So one is if you go to our Study UK website, there's a scholarship search tool. So that's usually helpful, and that can give you a pretty comprehensive list of scholarships that are available, which won't just look at the institution, it'll look at the ones that the universities themselves offer, but also the Chevening Commonwealth, everything else. What I would recommend is for Chevening, go to the Chevening website and see what's available. Obviously, it's closed for this year, but it will open again for 2024 intake. So have a look at that. These are very, very prestigious scholarships, fully paid, fully funded, fantastic opportunity. It's designed for future leaders. It's a really great, so have a look at that. Definitely look at the Chevening website, but the British Council India website has a scholarships page. Go through that, and if you don't know what all your options are, go to the search tool that I just mentioned.
Okay, there's a question from Kritanjali Mishra. I had 2 years of gap in my graduation due to medical conditions, but now I have 8 years of work experience in IT. What measures will I have to take up when I apply to any university in the UK? So there is a gap because of certain medical conditions, but the candidate has really worked, has gotten some work experience, and now wants to apply to universities in the UK. So what's the best way for them to take this ahead?
I think the main thing is to ensure that when you're writing your personal statement, you've explained that gap. So it's not uncommon for there to be a gap in someone's studies for whatever reasons, but so long as you can explain what that gap is and be very clear about why that gap happened and what you've done in the intervening period, then I think most universities will take that into consideration. It's not always the case that you have to go directly from one level of education straight on to the next. So having a gap in your studies is not an issue, so long as you can explain that gap and you're very clear about why that gap existed. And also, again, in your personal statement, you could use that gap if you have done other things like work, like this particular individual.
Okay, I'm going to move to another question for Divya. Divya, there's someone who's asked us, this is in one of the emails that we received, India-UK Young Professionals Scheme. They asked, what is it and how to avail it? It said in the papers that there were 2,400 visas up for grabs. Divya.
Yes, so Young Professional Scheme was another step towards India-UK mobility commitment. And this was a ballot system which has already happened. It started on 28th of February. It was open for 24 hours. And we have received the applications already from the students, from the people who wanted to apply for it. And the number of visas up for grabs are 2,400. There will be another round of ballot as well. We intend to receive applicants, close to 3,000 applicants under this route. And this is a scheme for the young professionals between the age of 18 to 30 years who would like to work and stay in UK and gain the experience. So this was basically the ballot system. All those who applied for this visa, they will be notified very soon. Those who have successfully have been successful in this ballot system. So they will be notified soon, and just wait and watch to see the results on the young professional scheme visas.
All right, so another great option. All right, this is a question from an attendee, and they ask, for students enrolled in master's program, specifically MBA/MSc, do we need approvals from the university to work during the course, the 20-hour per week? Do we need to inform them at all?
You don't need the university's approval, but you do need to make sure that if you are planning to work 20 hours a week or up to 20 hours a week, you need to make sure that you maintain your engagement. So the work always has to be secondary to your studies. So, for example, you shouldn't be missing classes to go and work.
Atre, can you pick that up, please?
Yeah, I think you don't need approval, but you absolutely have to maintain attendance and engagement. So if that falters, the university, will they're not going to be happy, obviously, and neither will you, because you've made a lot of effort to be there. So it's absolutely okay to work, and you don't need anyone's approval as such, but you need to make sure that you're doing what you've actually gone there to do, which is to do your classes and your course.
All right, we've got Advika Nahar. This is a linked question, so either D or Atre could take it. How much are you paid per hour to work in the UK? I think they want to know what are the minimum wage requirements.
Depends on what type of part-time work you find. So on the whole, it will be, and it depends on your age as well. So we have national minimum wage in place, and that increases once you are over the age of, I think it's about 24, 25. So national minimum wage is around about £8 something. And that tends to be what you would earn as a student doing a part-time job. If you're older than that, if you're a mature student and you're over the age of 25, that increases to, I think it's around about £9.30. But on the whole, it would be the minimum wage, unless you're lucky enough to find more of a job. So the jobs that tend to be available tend to be the part-time jobs in restaurants, in cafes, in supermarkets. That tends to be the work that is available for students to do, and normally it'd be paid at about the minimum wage.
All right, but do for instance, if some of these students, or Atre, maybe you could take this, if some of these students, get on platforms, for freelance and gig work, how does that sort of work out?
I think, again, it's up to the student. You just have to make sure you're compliant on, the country's laws and things like that on taxation and stuff, which we expect the student to take care of. So you'd have to be careful about that. But I think, again, the university will only kind of be interested or will be concerned if you're not able to make the attendance and the time that you're supposed to make for your courses. And there's a lot of work that also happens outside the classroom. That's very important to keep in mind. You're not just in the classroom and then you're done till the next class starts. There's a lot of group work, there's a lot of research work. Teaching and learning in the UK is very different from what we're probably used to in India. So there's a lot of independent learning, independent working with other people in your class that happens. And that usually typically can happen after your class hours. So you're constantly learning, you're constantly growing. So to bear that in mind, I think with the gig economy, I think it depends, you just need to make sure that you're compliant on laws and things like that. But I don't think it's anything crazy.
I think, you have to make sure that, as Atre and Dee have been pointing out, that, focus on the course that you've gone to the UK to accomplish that. And then, there are ways that you can work in the UK. All right. There's another question. While going through the process of choosing a university, what should hold greater significance? The overall ranking of the university or the specific subject ranking? And so a tip on the selection of a university as an international student would be helpful. Dee, this is for you.
Sorry, you dropped out again there, or I dropped out. Could you repeat the question? Sorry about this.
Yes. So there's an attendee who's asking us that while when they go through the process of choosing a university, what, according to you, should hold greater significance? The overall ranking of the university or the ranking in the specific subject that they have chosen? So how should they decide on choosing the university or the course?
I think it's obviously rankings are important for some students, but I think it's about more than just the ranking. I think it's about what is the right fit for you. And as we've said before, this can be a number of factors. So it might be where that university is located. It might be that the fees are more affordable for you because you're doing. It might be that this course is unique, or there's only a few places that offer the course that you want to do. So I think you have to weigh up all the factors, and ranking might just be one of those factors. And in terms of overall rankings, Certainly, a lot of students look to see which are in the top 100 or 200 universities in the world. And if that's your aim, then that's fine. That's part of your decision-making process. But for other universities, things like the access agenda for the university and sustainability, what sustainability policies and processes do the university have in place, and how are they striving towards
I'll pick it up just to directly answer the student's question first. Which ranking, university or subject? Probably subject over university, but also take a look at as Dee said, certain universities are just generally very well ranked, and then others will be very specially ranked in those subjects that they're very well known for. And it's always good to look at that subject ranking, because employers and, the next level that you go to, whether you're doing a master's after that or a PhD, they will be very aware, that you studied this subject in this university. This one's really good here, so you went to the right place, that sort of thing. So that's my recommendation. But I do agree with Dee that ranking is not the one thing that you look at. There are so many factors. There are universities who don't necessarily always participate in the rankings, and there could be unique good courses that you could be missing out on if you're just looking at general rankings. So look at other factors, look at the course content, look at the employability rate, look at the industry academia links in the course itself, look at the kind of people who will be lecturing you, look at your career options afterwards, look at location, look at price, look at scholarships, not just ranking.
Right, so many things to consider. This is another question. And I think this is interesting. Can you suggest an education consultant to study in the UK? Because it's very hard to do all the process ourselves. And there are many people who scam in this field as well. So Atrey, this one's for you.
Okay, I'll answer this, and I'm really glad somebody asked this question. So thank you to whoever that is. Dee, come in after me, please. But yes, I think a lot of students use education consultants or agents, and that's absolutely fine to do that. And you should take all the help that you need. The British Council has recently launched something called the Agents and Counsellors Training, which is available on our website, and it's just for agents and counsellors to take. But what it does is it trains agents and counsellors to kind of be able to advise you better, advise students better with the right information and the authentic information. It also insists that agents sign up to something called the Code of Conduct, Code of Good Practice and Good Conduct, which kind of tries to make sure that agents are not scamming you and not committing fraud. Obviously, it's not a perfect system. So what BUILA and the British Council together have done also is to launch a student guide. So you as the student, which is exactly the question, how do I know which agent to pick? And obviously, we're not going to recommend an agent to you, but what we do recommend is that you go through the student guide, and that should be up on the website, on the ET website for us on the website page, and see what, and you should see as a student how you should pick an agent, which agent you should pick, and the red flags or the things that assure you that this is the right way to go. On our website, the agents who have done the training, and they are simply trained by us, they're not necessarily approved and accredited, they have completed the training. That list is on our website. So have a look at that to see if you want to pick one of them. But more importantly, sort of learn how to choose one, and the student guide can help you on that.
All right.
Dee, did I cover everything? Do you want to come in there?
Just on the student guide, I think that it's a really good resource. So I would recommend if you want to use an education consultant or an educational agency, you definitely need to have a look at the student guide, because it tells you the sort of questions you should be asking that agent. So you need to check that agent has signed up to the recently launched UK agent quality framework, that they have agreed to adhere to the National Code of Ethics, which was being created by a number of organisations, including BUILA. So a whole piece of research was done, and we've created this framework. And most agents, if they're a good agent, a good consultant, they will have signed up to the National Code of Ethics, and they will agree to adhere by the standards that are being created. There's 7 standards, and the guide will take you how you can choose an agent, where you can find out about agents by looking on the British Council database, but also the sort of questions that you should be asking that agent to make sure that they're the right fit for you.
That's pretty comprehensive response. We've got one question from Aryaman Dogra, and Atrey or D, please let me know who among you will take this one. How many APs students should give to get into Cambridge, Oxford, and the likes?
I think just to say that for Oxford, Cambridge, they do have kind of separate criteria. I mean, every university has their own criteria for getting in. And we recommend that you look at the website and see. So for example, they will tell you that for your course, what your requirement should be, what should be your the minimum score that you need, what should be your IELTS, what should be your if you need to take any extra tests or anything. They do have slightly different criteria than many others. Obviously they are some of the best universities anywhere in the world, and it can be quite competitive again. So have a look at that. Look at the website. It's usually very clear on the website for your course.
Very specific. It is very, very specific process to apply to either Oxford or Cambridge, and you actually apply to a specific college. So it's a very, very different process than applying to any other university in the UK. And as Atreya said, it is really about looking at what the requirements are for your specific course. And that's the same for any university. I mean, depending on which course you want to apply for, there's going to be very specific entry criteria.
All right. These are now among the last set of questions that we'll take. Is studying in the UK worth the investment? Where do STEM students who graduated from colleges in the UK stand, compared to other parts of the world in terms of career opportunities?
I think, is UK education worth the ROI? I would say yes. Yes, it is. A UK course for the undergraduate is 3 years. It's 4 years in many other countries. The master's is 1 year. It's now recognized under the mutual recognition of qualifications with the Indian government. The 1 year UK master's is now recognized in India for most courses except the professional ones. So it's a shorter course, hence it's automatically cheaper. UK courses are obviously globally recognized. It is very sort of industrially sort of held up as some of the best in the world. It's you are automatically very employable. So employability rates at UK universities are also very high for the number of students who get employed. So, and let's not forget the graduate route, which allows you to stay on for 2 years and for 3 years if you're doing a PhD to work or to look for work. So I think by those metrics, one would say, yeah, it is definitely worth the investment. Okay. Divya, I know there's been a long silence from you, but here's a question. UK visa saw a 73% increase and work visa saw 130% increase in 2021. Can we expect this ease of obtaining visas and the number of Indian students gaining opportunities to study and work in the UK to continue to increase in the backdrop of the UK-India 2030 roadmap?
Well, yes, we definitely hope so. So we plan to have as many international students and let them gain that experience and attract the brightest of talent. So we do expect a lot of visas, and the demand will be very high in the coming season of 2023. And we do expect to see the numbers going up as per our roadmap for 2030. Yes, we definitely.
All right. I'm just quickly going through some of the questions that we have, and we have so many. It's not possible for us to take all of them in this live session, but I think we can try and respond to as many as possible, maybe through some sort of a response mechanism. I think, is that okay, Atrey? To a lot of the people who asked? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll, find a way to try and respond to as many questions as we can. I think this is, all right, there's one from Kartika Gupta. I've done my bachelor's in interior design, and after working full-time for 1 year, I want to pursue master's in design management. What's the way for me to know which universities are best for the course and which ones are outside London and still are within the top ranked universities for the course so that I can reduce my cost of living?
Yeah, I'll take that. I think that's your research, Karthikeya. So basically, what I would recommend you do is go to the Study UK website. There's a course finder tool as well. So the course that you want to study, type that in and see which universities come up. And then you can see where they are based out of. Obviously, most universities in the UK, pretty much all of them are sort of named after the location or the city that they're in. So it's very easy to find out which ones are in London, which ones are outside of London. You can also then do a check on their rankings. A lot of their rankings will already be on the website. So that's when just to get you started. I think what you're asking is that how do I even get started, because it's a certain kind of course, and where do I even start? Start with the course finding tool, and then see where that takes you. But a lot of that research will have to be your own, where you go into the websites and you see what the course is, what is the cost, does it fit within your budget, etc. But yeah, that's one way to start. And I also wanted to quickly mention that thank you for all the questions. It's so great that all of you are so interested. The British Council does student briefing sessions every month, so have a look out on our events page on the website as soon as the next one is announced, to sign up for those. So even if we can't answer everything right now, we'll make sure that we always get back to you. Sorry, back to you, Milani.
Atrey, you've summed it up. I think, any last words from, either Dee or Divya, anything that you'd like to summarize? We'll give you a chance to do so, because, we are already an hour into the program, and, we'd like to get your final thoughts.
Okay, yeah, sure. So currently, all our visa routes are within the service standards. So from the last year, we are encouraging students to apply as soon as they can. It just streamlines the process and avoids the bottleneck that we experience of high peak in the month of August and September. So please get your documents ready. If you're waiting for your confirmation letter from the university, please prepare the other documents in terms of the funds and the academic documents and the tuberculosis test certificate, so that as and when you receive your offer letter from the university, you're ready to apply for the visa application and avoid that peak period and the rush. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Divya. Dee, you're closing it all up for us.
Thank you for listening to us. I hope you found this session useful and informative. I would just like to echo my colleagues on this panel by saying the UK is an amazing place to study and to have that experience. And I wish you all the best with your journey.
Can I wrap that up for Dee?
Yes, of course.
Just to say that, thank you for considering the UK, but also just know that we are there to help you, with all the questions that you have. Please know that we are here as a resource for you and a support for you. So if you have any questions, to send that through. We'll make sure that you feel like you know what you need to know to be able to start your journey. For those of you who are also going to the UK this year in 2023, we will have pre-departure briefings. So just, make sure you have a look out on our website to see when those are, so that we prep you very well before you go to the UK. And the UK is very welcoming of international students, very, very welcoming of Indian students. You won't really feel homesick, because you'll get Indian food, you'll have Indian students to hang out with, you'll be able to celebrate Diwali, everything. We hope to see you in the UK. And thank you for joining today. Thanks, Miloni.
Thanks very much, Atrey, for all the students who joined us and, who sent us all your questions. Thank you so very much. It was, great that at least we attempted to respond to as many as we could. And yes, there were a few that we could not respond to. But we've had a tremendous amount of interest from all of you. And I thank you very deeply for that. And as Atrey said, and as Dee also echoed, we are happy to take any more questions. Do send them in to us, and we'll see what's the best way for us to respond to you. And as Atrey also pointed out, Do look at the British Council. They're holding a lot of informative briefing sessions, a lot of webinars and seminars perhaps that you could join in and get more information on how you can live and work in the UK. But thanks so very much for joining us. And Atre Guha-Thakurta, Head Mobility India and South Asia British Council, Divya Malhotra, Customer Account Manager, South Asia UK Visas and Immigration, and D. De Rocha, Member, British Universities International Liaison Association. Thank you so very much for giving us your expert views and your thoughts, and for guiding and taking the questions of so many students and young professionals who would like to go to the UK to study. Thank you very much for your time and for your thoughts today.